6 people were shot overnight downtown. The one person of interest was detained. And in Tulsa, one person there was killed and 7 others injured in a shooting at a community event overnight.
I'ma keep a gun and I ain't care what other dudes say. Try to come and take it and I'm knocking off your toupee. I'ma mutate. Once you cross the line, it's too late. This my new bay. Here, get to know my two-way. Guns don't kill, people do. Leave your gun up in the safe and see if it will go and shoot. Look, I don't give a hoot about your claim. Give it to them, you're a slave. And they just wanna play you like a flute. Sleepy Joe got armed guards while your kids are sitting ducks. You voted for the people hopping off the minibus. Look, I don't need the government and you ain't tricking us. You take the guns from the people, you could see a city flush. My buddy come wherever I go. I keep them close, keep them tucked for psychos. Anybody wanna kill a kid, you gonna die slow. I will not comply, commies frying with the rhinos. Man, Dems get excited every time they hear a gun pop. All they do is talk, I see them bumping their dumb jaw. They trying to shut down the gun shop. We need more guns, they just wanna pass a gun law. Dems get excited every time they hear a gun pop. All they do is talk, I see them bumping their dumb jaw. They trying to shut down the gun shop. We need more guns, they just wanna pass a gun law. Gun laws, all I hear is dumb talk. Come back to reality, y'all are stuck in SpongeBob. Instead of killing 14, maybe only one shot. But y'all don't wanna move, you're staying stuck like a blood clot. Take mine, but criminals are packing. I know a lot of people can't wait to get it cracking. You want a civil war, there will be a lot of gore. We ain't slacking, there'll be a lot of mourning when it happens. Look, we don't wanna do it, don't infringe upon our rights. Chicago mass shootings, but they blame it on the whites. You banning bump stocks, now you're going after sites. Everywhere they banning guns, now the murder rate spikes. New York, Baltimore, Chicago, take a look at Vegas. But y'all don't wanna save lives, y'all just wanna break us. Pass another gun law, but you are not gonna play us. Try and take our guns away from us and we will not be gracious. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Dems get excited every time they hear a gun pop. All they do is talk, I see them bumping their dumb jaw. They trying to shut down the gun shop. We need more guns, they just wanna pass a gun law. Dems get excited every time they hear a gun pop. All they do is talk, I see them bumping their dumb jaw. They trying to shut down the gun shop. We need more guns, they just wanna pass a gun law.
Welcome back to another episode of Tactical Fucking Pineapple Live, where yes, today we are going to talk about making things hard that are soft. And no, you sick sons of bitches, I am not talking about blue pills, blue chews, whatever the fuck you guys use, over oxygenated fucking blood supply. It doesn't matter. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, obviously, soft targets. Turning soft targets hard. And yes, we have already entered the system. YouTube is going to hate us tonight because we started with the music, and I don't care. Tyson James, Gun Law, that came out about 6 days ago. He's been dropping the shit out of music, so I will not accept that as an answer. Laughter, I do not make you harf. I don't know what harf is, but it is what it is. I'm guessing you're talking about hard. That's sad. I hope you had an opportunity tonight to check out a couple of nice pistols. Yes, look at that cock standing tall and proud in the background. It is what it is. Real quick rundown, Operator Tony, you were here first. You said here earlier. Crazy Eyes also said, yeah, I'm always here. And then Amanda Kelly jumping in. Not really sure. New name. Good. Great. Congratulations. Welcome to the show if you're still here. Probably not, because it was about 8:30. You said, no, let's talk about making things that think they're hard soft. Sunday sounds better for me for that. So... All right, then. Operator Tony's obviously here still. Chamber Defense jumping in. He also said that he's working tonight at the hospital, I think. Yeah. On his way to the hospital, done with Ithaca, Illinois. See you there. About time I start the show, says Clover Tack. I about gave up. I demand punctuality. Hey, I was on time. I was literally on time. We started it literally on time. Like, it doesn't get any closer to 9 o'clock than that. But hey, punctuality is where we're at. Give you a pass just because You are you. I am okay. I am me. Dave the Satellite's also here. CNT Coop, welcome to the fucking shit show. Yeah, we're here having fun. So, the main reason I wanted to talk about the whole hard target, soft target situation is because the reality of the situation is all of these attacks that we're now seeing on the Second Amendment stem from attacks that happened on soft targets. Um, that's just the utter truth. I've been thinking about it a lot this week. And one of the biggest issues that I see involved in all of this, and I know we continue to talk about, well, it's a gun-free zone, um, is the fact that the individuals who are perpetrating these attacks, they're not doing it simply because they're, mentally disturbed. They're doing it because it's their last and final attempt to be, I guess to have power, right? They don't feel like anybody listens to them. They don't feel like anybody's paying attention to them, and they feel like they legitimately have no power or no control over anything in life. And then they decide to take these actions where literally they are the only person in control, right? It's obviously they're mentally out of control, but the actions that they're taking put them in a position of power. Um, they generally choose soft targets because they're not going to be met with an equal force, right? Um, we go into situations all the time and we evaluate what we're going to do when we go into them, and they're no different. If I was an individual who was seeking power and seeking to do evil acts to have all of that power, um, the reality is I would not want to go to a place where there's a known chance that I'm going to not survive, um, on my own terms, right? The majority of these incidents end in a controlled suicide, essentially, with the perpetrator taking their own life or them doing something that causes the police to have to take their life for them. Now, I know the recent situation, the police weren't doing any taking of anything, including, anything more than their own pulse. But regardless, that's water under the bridge, and it's just the meaning and the reason for the newest attacks, right? Um, so, real quick, Clover Tech says, once a lot of these old politicians die off, I think we will see a little less gun control talk. It will always be there, but I swear a lot of it is fear of blacks by the old folks. I think that's perfectly, stated. Fear of blacks by the old folks. You literally had the conversation. The individual that was in, I don't remember who it was, who literally said, all of this is going to change. All this talk about gun laws are going to change as soon as blacks get guns. And oh my God, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, fucking Coleon Noir is going to have a field day with that one. But hey, and he did. He absolutely fucking did. Crazy Eye says, I disagree with you, Clover Tech. I think more kids these days are more brainwashed about guns being bad. No, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think that kids are necessarily brainwashed about guns being bad. I think that there's a certain segment of individuals aged 17 to 40 who are generally brainwashed. I believe the youth, the mind is not completely developed yet until 25, and it's not a hard set fact in an individual's mind until that point. So the 17 to 25-year-old individuals still have an opportunity to come around to factual reality, whereas anybody who's under that 17 age mark, even though their parents may be continuing to try to subjugate them and continue to push things, their direction, it's the rebellious thing, right? So when you grow up in a conservative family, there's two ways you take it. You either go full conservative and believe everything your parents have told you, and you're indoctrinated into it, and it's no different either way. To the liberal side, it's just there's the other way is to go about making things painful for your parents, right? And basically that's where we come at. And Yeah. See, Clover Texas, I can speak to kids about 15 to 25 at this point. Coached, trained, instructed around thousands, and they were all good kids. Yeah, and that's the thing is once you hit that 25-year mark, things do kind of get set in stone, right? Your beliefs are your beliefs. And even though you may kind of pattern through and change slightly, you're not going to change greatly. Unless you have just a major revelation. And it does happen. I'm not going to say it doesn't. If parents would actually be parents, um, we wouldn't have a lot of these things happening. You are true. That's the truth. 100% on the attacks. But Scott79 says if they want the age to be able to buy firearms to be 21, then the age to be voting should be 21, or the age to join the military, and the list can go on. But we know they'll never agree to it. No, 100% they won't. So, Joe Morris, welcome. Hello, friends. 18 is too young to own an assault rifle, but at 5 to 6 you can determine your gender and get put on hormone blockers. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there because I understand like the argument, but it's just one of those pinpoint arguments. The big thing for me is, if we hardened these targets a little bit, even the individuals who are taking these actions would have to take a second guess, right? You're going to be much less likely to go into a school and attack it if you know the first room that you pass with a gun is going to be potentially a teacher with a firearm. And no, I'm not going to go ahead and say that we need to arm all of the teachers. I don't agree with that. I do agree with allow the teachers who want to be armed to be armed. Because the problem with arming all the teachers is a group of individuals that may not understand or respect firearms, having firearms, is not necessarily a great thing. I've heard the argument from people that I actually agree with on a lot of things that they should anyways, because even if they're only trying to defend their own life, at the very least they give the children a couple seconds extra and take a little heat off the kids. Yes and no. I'd rather not have somebody who doesn't understand it or doesn't respect it to have the firearm. And there's no way, I don't believe, that we can force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. It's the same as the jab and all the other shit that went on over the last 2 years, right? People who are ideologically opposed to something are going to push back against it no matter what. And it's their right to do that. You don't have to be involved. But I think that there's a lot more teachers out there who would carry if they could carry, and that would create a lot of questions in an individual's mind. A resource officer is a dream build up to a retirement job. The other portion of the whole resource officer, I'm glad you said resource officer. One of the things that I have to say is resource officers shouldn't be armed, or they should be armed. They just shouldn't be identified. They should be plain clothes. They should look like a teacher. They should park in teacher staff parking. They should be in plain vehicles. They shouldn't stick out like sore thumbs, right? It's just another, security theater. You can have the security with the big security tag on the back, but it doesn't really fucking mean anything. Generally speaking, that's the first person you're going to try to avoid. It's the first person that you're going to attack in any situation. It's kind of like the guy with the open carry and somebody wants to do something bad. You've painted a target on your back. So Miss Pineapple says, nice cock. Well, I'm glad that you like it. It's your cock too. So happy there. Clover Texas, even if you harden targets, don't think it deters the evil completely. They will likely just go out in a blaze of glory, prey on family, whatever. Important to reach them before they become evil. I 100% agree. I just think there's two sets of evil in this scenario. So the individual who is performing the attack and the individuals who are too cowardly to go in and do anything about it. At least maybe an individual teacher who is armed would have had an opportunity to end something. But yeah, I understand it completely. Like, evil's evil. It's always gonna do evil. Like, people who are evil are always gonna do evil. Um, CNT says, I would rather be armed in the classroom. You don't have to force people to carry. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. There's a lot of individuals who would be willing to do, security and protect our children. There's a group out there now that's called Veteran Overwatch. It's literally a group of individuals who will kind of creepily park outside of schools and just watch the kids. Right? Seems like a pedophile's grand job, but it's not what they're doing. They're armed instructors. They're donating their own time to protect the children. They're sitting outside of the schools. They're following along on um, field trips, things like that, where there's potential for issues, and they're providing overwatch protection, and they're local. They're all over nationally. um they're very structured. It's something that they do. So yeah, people are willing to volunteer their time to protect the youth of this country, because they're the youth of the country. They are the future. So that's a good thing. Clover says Texas has a very structured plans for arming teachers, and I support the two paths here that ISDs have access to. Yeah, I agree. Um, let's see. I also think it's important to try and address mental health to keep evil from becoming evil in the first place if we can. And that's the other thing too. Yes, mental health is huge. We talked in great depth about that last week, and literally having individuals who their parents just are completely oblivious, because number one, they're completely detached from their children's lives. Our children are being raised by electronics. They're being raised by things that screw their minds up anyways, warp them and twist them into feeling like they're inadequate, and other worse things. Um yeah. Saw a comment about the kids overpowering the teacher to get access to the firearm. Not sure how I feel about that statement. So here's the deal, like, and for that, there's inner city situations where maybe that is a potential issue. Um, the other end of it is having it in the room in a locked container, unavailable to get it. Um, I don't know. There's no good single solution. I will agree with that statement that's been made by, the Democrats on the side pushing for gun control. There's no one solution that's going to fix everything, and even in our chat here we see it now. There's the conversation about arming the teachers. There's a conversation about the mental health. It's generally a huge effort to raise children. It's a community effort, and since we don't have community anymore, the community is the internet, and the things that children are exposed to, the way that kids are raised via internet is horrible. There's a lot to be said about basically being propagandized into a communist society, and this is all a part of it. Like taking a person's identity away. Think about the Mao Zedong, when he tried to create a genderless society, because it's all about control. You want uniformity, one person, one soul, one body. That's how communists develop things, and the pushback and the psychological breakdown and all that is part of it, and mental health waning is a serious concern. I mean, we've had these issues all along. They're just expounded upon by other things as well. So a person in the 60s and 70s who was going to attack and shoot up a school may less likely have done it because it didn't think in their mind that they would become famous for it. Now we have a society where everybody's looking for their 5 minutes of fame. I'm here on the internet talking to you guys. I've got 11 people watching, something like that, and I'm sitting here talking to you guys. Everybody wants their 5 minutes of fame. We all get it. We're all doing whatever. And some people actually, think that doing those actions and being an evil ass bastard is going to be what pushes people into the fame. And unfortunately, our society actually does do that. So we knew the person who did these actions' name from media prior to us knowing any of the victims. So I would say that they're not completely wrong. Yeah. So, Miss Pineapple says there's not enough help, and then Clover Tech responds, "There's a severe lack of mental health professionals in this country right now, coupled with an uptick of mental health issues. It's not good. There's a complete lack of general healthcare workers on top of it, but yes, mental health workers as well. People just aren't getting into the profession; they're not doing those things. So, and there's no right answer. The biggest thing that I can point to is getting parents involved earlier and often. Like, they should be involved all the way through. We've taken generations of kids and told them everything is about them and their feelings. What did people think was going to happen? Yeah, I agree. It kind of the, participation trophy generation, right? It's what you want, it's what you need. We're going to give you whatever you want. And then life slaps you in the fucking penis or vagina or whatever the fuck you have. And you learn a lesson. So, are you looking to be famous, or do you really want to help? If you want to be famous, log out. I don't care about being famous. I really don't. If that's the question to me, no. I'm really, would I like to help? I would rather help than hurt, and just having these conversations is doing that. I think, like the mental health thing. Would I like to get famous? Absolutely not. The last thing I want is to be in public and have people recognize me. It's happened. It's been weird. I'm not a fan. Maybe we should make these trophies guns. That way they stop that shit, because they don't want guns out there. They'll just, it isn't even a thing. They don't even keep track of scores anymore in sports. Like, that's beyond, and it's a completely different issue, that whole deal. But I don't know. I just want to know, what is this question here? I know people who have shirts that say, "If I'm here, this is not a gun-free zone." I've seen it. Yep. Flying Rich is in the house. The world's most famous, horrible co-host, Flying Rich, is in the house. I give him shit, but the kids are either still sleeping or not screaming too loudly. I can't hear them. So, yeah, I have more. I have more subscribers on OnlyFans than YouTube. If that's the case, then we need to talk, because I don't know I have an OnlyFans, so it must be you. So, yeah, no, to BV, I would say honestly 100%. Not attempting to be famous. That's not what I'm doing. I want to have these conversations because I enjoy having the tough conversations. There's a perk to being to fame. Getting popular can greatly increase your reach and allow you more opportunities to help with whatever your cause might be, but you got to stay real. That is the key. I agree with that. I agree with that to a large extent. However, I also believe that individuals who want to help, when you reach out to them to participate in something to help make it bigger than what you can do yourself, often do it. That's why, you yourself, Clover, when we did the mental health thing, you agreed to come on and do that. We did that. I had Jared on there, a bunch of individuals who are completely above my pay grade, but when talked to them about what was going on and what we were doing, they wanted to be involved. And them being involved can help make things bigger as well. So, hello everyone. I love you. Do not comply. That is a fair fucking statement. As I indicated to the wife the other day, I'm like, hey, just so you're aware, the House passed a few bills that mean that they're would potentially be felonies in a gun safe if I had one. Luckily, I'm not a gun owner. I used to have a couple pistols, but I've since gotten rid of them. So, yeah, we have a lot of great people that surround us in a fantastic community, and that's the truth. Yeah, hello. 1 month later, hello, I'm Tactical Pineapple. You may recognize me from my TED Talk and an interview with Joe Rogan. I'm not famous though. That'll never happen. Mostly because I just I won't devote my life to it. You can be detected at birth, so once they're born, throw them in a supermax prison. It can be protected at birth. I don't know. Oh, here. I missed the first comment. The study shows that psychopaths have reduced connections between the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for sentiments such as empathy and guilt. Yes, but not every psychopath is a killer. Not every psychopath is going to do certain things, and that is the whole. That's the Minority Report, right? That's the whole general Minority Report thing. Yes, it can be detected at birth, but one of the great downfalls is not teaching kids in sports or whatever that there are winners and losers, but regardless, they need to be gracious, regardless of which they are. Exactly. 100% agree. There's no way to learn and become better if you don't lose. So grow up. Not every psycho is a murderer, and we don't do pre-crime. Yeah, there you go. There it is. And there's Vanessa Kitty also doing it. Most psychopaths do not commit crimes. Yeah. So the what you're talking about in the prefrontal cortex is a mental condition. It is something that many of us deal with, and some of us have, myself included, been linked to that. I'm also not a serial murderer. I do, however, have the ability to turn off empathetic thought. And that's real, right? That is something that is real. But I also have a set of core values that I live to and live by. And that is a big thing that I was taught, right? You do have to be able to turn off empathetic thought at certain situations, and it actually helps make you a better it actually makes you a better thinker under pressure, because you have the ability to detach yourself from the situation and actually think with clarity versus an individual who thinks with emotion, and that's a reality. So Clever Texas, I know people that grew up having absolutely horrible lives and are from horrible families. When they were young, they were trouble, but eventually broke the mold and are great people now. Yeah, and people grow. People do a lot of different things. Yeah, right? I'm sitting in a room basically talking to himself. That's a bit crazy. So there are different levels of things. Yes. And have you ever had the displeasure of dealing with a psycho daily? I wake up to him. Complete asshole. Yeah, I have no idea why I'm screaming. It's what I do. Glow on, glowy. So, yeah, it's definitely tough. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no one solution to it. And all these bills aren't going to do a damn thing about it, and everybody knows it. The big thing, I think, is hardening targets. It is something that we can do that doesn't infringe upon rights, and it does make things less likely to happen, right? These attacks are not happening in gun stores. They're not going to gun shows and shooting the place up, right? They know that it's not going to end well. They're going to places where it's advertised gun-free zones, and that's it. Like we discussed last week, 90% of these attacks happen in places where less than 2% of people are armed. I know you can say that it's a gun-free zone, but it's not a gun-free zone, right? So a school resource officer, many schools allow the school resource officer to carry their firearm at the school. They don't really have a choice. It depends on policy. So the only reason there are so many psychos and assholes in this country is they are a protected class, so we can't chase them out of town or kill them like we used to. So yes, there are a lot of individuals who need mental health, and because we can't in this country just commit an individual against their will to be treated without due process, there are a lot of people running around that maybe shouldn't be. The crazy does spread, right? 90% of school shootings are drug dealers or other criminals doing shit on school property after hours. Nothing with the students. That's also true. I kind of worked out some numbers earlier though, and in talking about hard targets and just hardening. In most of these situations, if an individual who wants to come after you, right, they're obviously a minority. It's not going to happen all over the place. It doesn't happen at every school at some point. I don't know. It's hard. The people, everybody says arm all the teachers, and I'm against that. But if we arm 2% of the teachers at 100% of the schools, that's 200% more people in most of those schools to help prevent this thing from happening, or to help prevent it from being a massive issue. In the old days, a-holes all just moved to Texas and created their own country. Just saying, says CloverTech. And then the option to be armed, right? I am pro-choice when it comes to exercising your 2A rights. Yeah, it's 100%. Like, you have a Second Amendment right, and everybody's like, well, the Constitution wasn't blah, 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 and we need to protect the children. It's the most important thing. And yeah, I agree. I also believe that the Constitution was written to protect the children. So it was written to protect everybody. It was written to protect all of us from a tyrannical government, and that is where we're at today. Legislation was literally passed in the House this week that turns guaranteed every single person in this chat into a felon. If you have a Canik TP9 standard, you're a felon because it comes standard with more than a 15-round magazine. So it is what it is. Yes, the 2A is for everyone. The Constitution is for everyone. And we're going to tread all over the shit of that. No due process, no Fourth Amendment, no Second Amendment, and we all know what it's like to be conservative and try to have a voice. We very rarely have the First Amendment nowadays. So, we'll end up in some January. I'm surprised I haven't been called into the January 6th, committee, because I had a live stream where I talked about it that night. Absolutely insane. So maybe the Talking Heads on TV could do something about not making those shitheads famous for killing kids, remove the incentive to do the bad thing. I agree. We've talked about it in detail here too. The individuals who performed the action in Columbine, they have fan pages, they have merchandise. There's literally merchandise that exists surrounding that shooting. And the YouTube shooter of recent years was one of his fanboys. Like, marked his shotgun the same way, wore the shirt, and joked about how, man, if his parents just paid any attention, they would have noticed, and said it over and over and over again because it was the truth, right? And he used a shotgun with no magazines. So, just saying. What kind of country is this where you can let the local drug dealer on the street sell drugs to your kids and you can't do anything about it? You can do things about it. I'm just saying. And then that's all I'll say about it. The reality is, yeah, you can do things about it. So, no incrimination there. So, Someone has the right to carry just as I have the right to carry, just as long as your desire to not carry doesn't affect mine. Yeah. Thing is, any ban that gets through will only apply to new magazines, nothing already here. Same with firearms. It does nothing considering the amount already in the pipeline. I agree, but I think, and I haven't read it to that. There's been an attempt to retroactively ban those weapons and those magazines where they want you to turn them in or have them pinned and welded. So, if you were running for governor in Michigan and leading the polls versus Democrat incumbent, you might get arrested. Yeah, that happened. That absolutely happened. But don't worry, it's not political. It's not political at all. Let's just pull him out of that fucking election. Columbine is taught in the history books. 9/11 is not. I did not know Columbine was taught in the history books. That's disturbing. 9/11 doesn't surprise me. It's not taught in the history books because we can't talk about things like that. So there you go. Read it properly. Someone has the right not to carry just as much as I have the right to carry, just as long as your opinion doesn't affect mine. And I agree. In the most part, I've had the conversation and the arguments with individuals. And the reality is there's an argument internally as well versus concealed carry versus open carry. It's just pedantic. It's reductive. It's just having a conversation about something that doesn't matter, right? Whether or not I have a legal grounds to carry because maybe I'm in an area that I shouldn't carry, or maybe I've had a beer or whatever, doesn't mean that I'm not going to be carrying. I know that there may be consequences for that, but it's no different than an individual who chooses to walk around with marijuana in their pocket, right? There's an opportunity to get in trouble for carrying in a certain area or holding in a certain area. More than others, right? So it's a choice that I make. It's a choice that other people have to make. 9/11 isn't taught in history. Why would you want to teach something in history that actually shines a bad light on the U.S. government, right? They can't teach it because they don't want people to ask questions about it. My life is now officially worthless. No, why would your life be worthless? Shit. Minnesota, you can legally drink in a bar while carrying. Might not be a great idea, but it's legal. In Wisconsin, it's not, which is an interesting thing because it's like in the state of Wisconsin, you have constitutional carry. You can open carry. It's legal in the state of Wisconsin to open carry without a permit. You want to concealed carry, you need to have a permit. It's not hard to get the permit. You just have to have it. You got to pay your taxes, essentially. Now, well, you can't say it and then go long fucking story. You don't need to worry about it. All right. Yeah. You can open carry in a bar legally while drinking, so long as you're under the legal limit, I believe. But you cannot concealed carry in a bar while drinking at all. You can be there, you can have food, but you cannot have a drink at all. It's asinine. I get it. There are individuals who push the limits, who get intoxicated, who probably shouldn't have it, but yeah. Just the 9/11 is huge history to my country and my entire life. Yeah, I know. I remember where I was on 9/11. I'm sure most individuals do. I know a lot of people here are probably like, well, I was in school. I'm like, I was driving my car. I was working third shift, but as a kid born before 2001 about 9/11, they don't know. Yeah, after 2001. Yeah, I know. It's stupid, but it is what it is, I guess. That's why we teach our kids about American history, right? Um, I teach my kids about it. Not much I can do. That's it, right? And you can't allow the school system also to teach your kids everything, because they're not going to teach them everything, or they're going to teach them a slanted view of it. And you need to be able to teach them the other end of it, and all the other stuff. So back to where we're talking. So I don't know. Churches, schools, all those places that are gun-free zones that get attacked. And I just think if there's anything we can do that is proactive, it's hardening the target, right? Make it so it's less likely to be picked. If you put armed guards outside of a church, right? You're probably not going to have anybody coming in to shoot the place up. Just saying. Do we want armed guards everywhere? Fuck no. Like, this is not fucking Ramadi, right? We don't want that. So we can do certain things. And the schools, they teach kids whether a pee-pee is a wee-wee or a wee-wee is a pee-pee. I don't. That's a completely different conversation, but not wrong as well. We typically had 6 lines going at once, incoming for sales calls. All of a sudden, they all stopped. Yeah, and that was ridiculous, right? So the world stood still on 9/11, and I worked third shift at the time, so I was just driving around because gas didn't cost 5 and a fucking quarter per gallon. So I was just driving around, clearing my head, and then I heard it come over the radio, and it was actually I was listening to Mancow in the morning, and then he covered it, and you could literally hear people telling him to get the fuck out, because I mean he's out of the Chicago, out of the Sears Tower. And they're like, you need to get out. You need to do this. And he's literally on air yelling at people, I'm not going fucking anywhere. I don't care. I'm covering this, blah, blah, blah. And it was insane. So, in class in high school, I've heard people rolling TVs into auditoriums and people sitting there and watching it. And yeah. Marcus Bybee says, we have armed guards in our church, both uniformed and gray man. Big church. That's what I'd say. A lot of smaller churches don't, but they also know that there's a lot of individuals in the church who are there. So, goddamn bacon says it was first day of high school during 9/11. His mom came to get him, and for about 30 minutes, he was trying to figure out just how he got in trouble that fast. Yeah. So, I don't know. The chat has devolved a little bit, but it's devolved to 9/11. That's a somber thing, obviously. So I grew up in a firefighter household. It was a huge deal. Like 343 firefighters lost that day. Over the time, the individuals plus the firefighters, everything just the differences between today and then what we teach and what we care about, and the pedantics of everything. But I really don't have anything serious left to talk about for tonight, and it's been a long week. It's only been a 40-minute show, which is fine. No, Bacon, you are not the reason the chat devolved. If anything, make sure everybody heads over to goddamn Bacon's channel when he starts up in probably 50 minutes, 10:30ish, usually Central Standard Time. Whatever you're in is wrong time, because Central Standard Time is my time and Texas time and right time. So there's that. I just can't understand how people can't grasp that no law about carrying or type of firearm is going to stop a person already planning on breaking the law. And they know that. They 100% know that. In their head, in their mind, they know it. But they think that restricting access to firearms is the solution. So we also have those who attend concealed carry. It would be a very bad day if a bad guy comes in and starts shooting. 100%. No law will ever stop evil. That's the truth. If laws would stop bad people from doing bad things, make murder illegal. Right, exactly. Imagine that. Somebody who's willing to perform an act that could lead to the death penalty doesn't care whether or not they're breaking other laws along the way. It's like, do you really think that they're following traffic laws while they're on their way to shoot up a school? Probably not. You want to stop an individual from shooting up schools? Implement speed enforcement zones in a quarter-mile radius around schools. I'll guarantee that the individual who's about to go shoot up the school is speeding. He couldn't care less, right? He's going to begin the engagement early, so if that's the case. Yeah. And no, I don't think it's a solution to school shootings. I think that it's an opportunity to control and punish the political opponents. Yeah, I think a lot of it's political. I think a lot less of it is political than we think because both sides are in on it. It's just, I think the reality of the situation is it's about gaining more power. It's about taking control over the United States. It's about taking guns away from the people. And it's about ensuring that there's no possibility or opportunity for the people to rise up against the federal government. And acts of sedition similar to January 6th, which were not fucking acts of sedition, protest and whatever. But, prime time story hour began last night, and now we get to hear all about why Trump needs to go to jail. That's all it's about, is making sure that Trump goes to jail or he cannot run for president again. That's the whole reason for it. It's the absolute only reason for the primetime shit show. And they're going to parade it out, right? It's one-sided story, leading questions. None of it would stand up in court. So it is what it is. And Mark's Baby says it's control and money, period. 100%. So with that, I will leave it. I'm going to leave you guys for the weekend. Y'all have fun. Stay safe. Remember, if you become a felon, it's not really that bad as long as nobody knows about it, right? The mainstream media is part of a brainwashing cult. They marinate the viewers in the blood of children and tears of the grieved and give you one solution: the gun. 100%. So I don't disagree. I think a lot of us are in agreement on a lot of that. So Bukaki says, later, homie, have a good weekend. And to everybody here, I wish the same. I know it was a short show tonight, not so much a shit show, but a short show. I look forward to coming back next week. I should have a guest. I don't know what we're doing. BV Luminous says, thank you for the stream, Tactical Pineapple. No, thank you for coming to the stream and hanging out and having a conversation. So, I'm gonna leave you now for the weekend. Don't go. I'll change. I promise this time. No. Yeah, a shark show. There you go, shark show. We're good, man. We're good. I wish everybody all the best. Have fun. Enjoy the weather if you have decent weather. Paul Harrell. No, I don't know Paul Harrell. We're not talking about Paul Harrell. If you want to talk about anybody, talk about James Yeager. Go check him out. Fundraiser. Got some good stuff for him. I feel bad for him. ALS is a shitty fucking thing. No clickbait, not putting it in the title, nothing like that. So I definitely recommend, if you guys aren't following his story, go check it out. So until next week, folks, it's been real. Have fun. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy your family. Raise your own children. Do whatever you got to do. So Paul Harrell is a god. Oh,